Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well, staying safe and healthy as always. A little bit about me. I've just been staying busy with school, work, internship, and then just with finals week coming up, just been making sure I'm staying proactive and studying for all of that stuff. Hopefully you guys are doing the same and good luck on your finals, guys, and stay strong. We're almost through it. But until then, I got a composer report to kind of go over with you guys, and yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started with Toru Takemitsu and why I chose him. I chose him because he has a prolific place in Japanese music history, and honestly, I love Japanese culture, so I took this as an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Japanese music and his place in the influence that he has on Japanese culture as a whole. So we'll go ahead and start talking a little bit about him, his life, and his composition styles, and then we'll talk about the piece that I pulled for you guys this week. So Toru Takemitsu was born on October 8th, 1930 in Tokyo, Japan. Despite his upbringing and his musical training in the Oriental style, he never really completely conformed to it. He was able to really make sure he kept his composition styles contemporary while using fusion techniques of the Western and Eastern styles of music. You can hear that a lot in his work, especially because he takes a lot of the timing, the texture, and the structure from traditional Japanese music, along with utilizing a lot of the Western instruments that are used to make chamber and orchestration compositions. Um, let's see. He really got down the ability to be able to synthesize both of those cultures and make a fusion of both very well using serialism. Serialism was actually a pretty popular format for Eastern composers just because of the uniformity that it provided, and a lot of that's what a lot of Eastern composers really uh, went for when composing. So he was able to kind of just be able to implement that into a lot of his music. Um, it wasn't until the 1950s when he introduced Requiem for Strings, which is like one of his most prolific works, that he was able to kind of stake his name in stardom and infamy as a prolific, not even Japanese composer, but just a prolific composer as a whole in all human history. And I thought that was pretty cool, just the fact that he was able to kind of just staple his name despite kind of the fact that like he was a little bit of unorthodox circumstance in terms of like what people kind of expect when it comes to chamber and orchestra music. I thought that was pretty cool that he was able to do that with just this piece, and that he was able to kind of ring in both Western and Eastern audiences to come in and to really enjoy his music. Um, and so, with that being said, that's actually one of the pieces that I pulled for you guys this week, and talking a little bit about Requiem for String Orchestra. It was not produced, but it was made in 1957. And some things that I actually kind of found a little interesting about this piece, we'll talk a little bit about. So I like the fact that it's kind of an atonal conjunct melody with long and windy intervals. If you hear it, it sounds like maybe just taking like a, a really long walk down like a corridor in like a very empty castle, if that makes sense. I think if you're like listening to the song, like you exactly know what I'm talking about, but like it's very like ethereal, like there's really no like substance, but it's just very like floaty. And then there's constant like ascending and descending melodies that you hear, so it just sounds like steps of like these really like long spiral staircases, taking steps of like these like really grand and beautiful like staircases in this like big castle. And that's kind of the visualization that I get when I listen to this music. um it's not until like the 3:30 mark when it's like the tipping point and things kind of change. You hear like a very stark contrast, and it kind of introduces some sort of calamity, almost like a staggering like falling effect that you hear. The tempo jolts, the strings play in forte and introduce like a settling tone. In unison, like the strings like kind of have the ability to kind of bring like this like eerie yet triumphant sound, which I found super interesting. I've never really heard anything like it before in any kind of other orchestration. So I definitely see where Toru kind of gets like his unique ability to be able to do that from. Um, then like towards like about the 5-6 minute mark, he kind of returns back to like the same whimsical, airy, ethereal sounding ascending, descending string melodies that you hear at the towards the beginning, where it goes full circle. Um, and yeah, it's very melancholic, and it's kind of just drawn out and winding. And I think the ascending and descending um, of the melody is really really cool. I think it just really paints a really beautiful picture in my head. Like I said, like being alone in like a very empty yet beautiful castle, and just kind of having an opportunity to kind of like explore and maybe walk through the catacombs and kind of just see exactly like what there is to kind of just see what there is to offer in each room of a castle. I feel like that's like a really great visualization to be able to kind of just like place in your head while you're listening to the song. And then with that being said, honestly and truly, I enjoyed the piece a lot, and just listening to all the other Takemitsu pieces, I could definitely say like he's probably one of my favorite composers just because of how simplistic yet unique and different it is. I just love that. I love that so much. So I definitely would recommend you go check out that piece. I have it linked on this composer report. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a great week. I will talk to you guys next week, and good luck on your finals, like I said. Until then, bye guys.